into an infinite possibility of healing encapsulated in the flesh, in the tissue, on one spot, one geometry, one geography, right here, right now, with this person. Seek refuge. It's visualization. How long does it take to do that? How long does it take to acknowledge the space? See that as sacred space. See her as sacred space. See me as sacred space coming into sacred space. Just to think the thought. How long does it take? Less than that. Lobsang Tenzin Negi told me, how long does it take, Anthony? I go, it's going to take me forever. I'm never going to get it. He goes, no. Here's how long it takes. Less than that. Because all that's required is that you think the thought. The problem with unconscious beings is they don't take the time to think the thought. It's too troublesome. It's too big. It takes too long. They don't take the time to think the thought. And so because they don't take the time to think the thought, they don't have the consequence of the thought. And the change of being is an elevation of spirit, as a connection with the infinite. Seek refuge, pay respect. I call this universal copyright. By picturing all those that have gone before me. How many healing teachers in my tradition have gone before me? I'm in the 37th generation of Putai Sawan, but who taught the first? Who taught Chivaka? We know who his teacher was, Atreya. Atreya, when he wrote the Charaka Samhita, in the preamble to the Charaka Samhita, he says, I am the last surviving practitioner of an ancient healing tradition. And he wrote that 5,000 years ago. He said the reason why he wrote it down was so it wouldn't be lost to time, that it wouldn't be lost for time memorial, so that people in future generations would know that there were generations in the past who understood life and understood how to be a human being in the world, understood it. And so he had to write it down before he died. Now, that's what he says about himself in the preamble. So what we say is this: as long as there's been people in the world, however long that is, however far back that goes, Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal, Australopithecus, however far, however long, however far back that goes, there was somebody in that community that was a healer. There was somebody in that community. It is a function of human society and all human societies in ancient antiquity, archaeologically, anthropologically, anthropomorphically, however you want to talk about it, that there's a sacred space and a sacred designation of sacred space in every place inhabited by humans as far as we can go back and determine that humans were there. And there's a reason for that. Because thinking a certain way changes your DNA. You want to change your DNA? No, don't get a vaccine. Don't get stem cell therapy. You want to change your DNA? Remember, DNA is frequency, respondent. It transmits and receives frequency. Photonic energy, light, we know that. DNA responds to light. Electrical frequencies, we know that. DNA responds to magnetic frequencies. DNA responds to pH. We know many, many things that changes the nature of DNA. And one of the things that changes the nature of DNA is thoughts and attitudes, because they change your fundamental chemistry as a human being. So if you want to have enlightened DNA, start thinking new thoughts. Number 3, clean house. Clean house is when I'm with my client and I'm doing the southern style and I have my hand on the abdomen and I have my hip right up against them, because you know you can hear through your bones. That's called bone conduction. So this hip connection here, the largest bony structure in the body is the pelvis. And the pelvis, by the way, visualize this, is a drum. Okay, what is a drum? I have drums over there. You can look at a drum. You can see that a drum is a hard shell that creates a reservoir, which is called a resonant cavity. Okay, and then over the resonant cavity is animal hide, tendon, connective tissue stretched over it. Trivia, what is a pelvis? A pelvis is a drum. The most important function of the pelvis is to act as an intermediary, amplifier, and transceiver of energy that comes from the lower part of the body, comes from the upper part of the body. For example, the pelvis picks up the amplified sonic vibration of the heart. And when those pressure waves, sonic booms, and they are sonic booms, subaudible sonic booms that come from the heart hit the pelvis, guess what happens? The tympanic membrane of the psoas diaphragmatic fascia and connective tissue stretched over the hollow bones of the pelvis creates a resonant cavity. It amplifies that energy and sends it faster and farther than the heart itself can send, and it sends it to the bottom of the feet and the top of the head and the ends of the arms, and according to Ayurveda, 50 feet past the outer shell of the body in every direction. So I take my tympanic amplifier and I bump it up against my client's tympanic amplifier. Why? Because I can hear her better. It's not imagination. It's called bone conduction. It's actually, look it up. Don't take Dr. J's word. I'm wacky, man. I just make up stuff as I go. Don't take my word for anything. Okay? So, my hand's on her stomach, and I did the first thing. I acknowledged that I placed my hand thoughtfully and deliberately. The first contact with the client is always thoughtful and deliberate. No other way, unless it's an emergency, which I've had to do that too, okay? By way of asking permission, I come into the space in a relaxed way. I position myself in a relaxed way. I don't bump, bang, kick, knock, elbow, cajole my client. You know, I don't, oh, sorry, I don't do anything I have to apologize for. I stop over here and wait till I have my balance, and then I come over here on purpose so that as I come into your space, the last thing I want to do is apologize for being here, or apologize for bumping you, or apologize for poking you, stepping on your pigtails. I don't know, whatever it is. I don't want to be apologizing for squat. I'm here with intention, and I'm asking permission. And I put my hand and I wait. And while I'm waiting, I acknowledge the space. While I'm waiting, I do my Waikru. If I'm in the north, I might say the mantra, Om Namo Shivago Silasa Aham Kaluniko Sapasatanang. If I'm in the south, I do it in my head. I don't say it out loud. For whatever reason, southern people don't like to do their mantras out loud. But the northern people just shout that stuff. They're like Pentecostals. They want to say their mantras and everybody joins in, and the client will do the clients know your mantras. Okay? So they'll do them together. So I do my mantra. I pay respect to my lineage. I'm not here under the authority of Anthony. I am here under authority of my lineage. I am part of the hand of God reaching out to all humanity since time immemorial. I'm a finger on the hand of God, and that's why I have a right to be here. Not because I'm special, not because I'm a doctor, not because I'm a therapist, but because I am the embodiment of Spirit trying to give humanity a squeeze. And Spirit doesn't have hands, but I do. God doesn't have hands, but I do. Marriage made in heaven. No pun intended. And so while I'm doing this little acknowledgement, which how long does it take? It takes a long time to talk about, especially if you're Dr. James. But in reality, to do it, it's like snapping the fingers. You just think the thought. Visualize the lineage. Think the thought. The client is sacred. This is sacred space. I am doing a sacred activity. Human beings have been lining up and creating this geometry for as long as human beings have existed. It's part of what it means to be a human being, is to be able to assume the role of the giver and the receiver. And yoga has always been facilitated. Anyone who says that they do unfacilitated yoga, like Hatha yoga is not facilitated, well, they don't know it very well, and they don't know it very much, because actually you can't teach or do or practice or perfect Hatha yoga without somebody at some point pushing and prodding and pulling and poking and talking to you and giving you encouragement and giving you instructions and so on. They are intervening, they are interfering with you. And that's part of the process, because it's not possible to enlighten yourself by yourself. Now, that's my opinion based on the whole history of all humanity. Somebody right now might say, no, I can be enlightened if I wanna. I'm like, well, why aren't you enlightened now? If you could be, on your own, by yourself. It's a rhetorical question. I already know the answer. And besides, if I was enlightened, I wouldn't tell you. In fact, I would act like a total idiot just to throw you off. Because the last thing I want, if I'm enlightened and people knew it, there'd be people following me around, and it would interfere with my game time. Because I'm a gamer. Yeah, they're enlightened gamers. Sorry. Welcome to the 21st century. Buddha plays video games. All right, so then look, now we go clean house. Clean house is before I do anything. Before I do anything else. Again, this could be done in 1 minute. All of this. I'm so sorry. Really so sorry for the long discussion. I want you to understand. Clean house means I ask myself a question before I do anything else. I ask myself a question. The question is there anything that keeps me from being able to be with this person in the right way now? I just asked the question. Maybe it's no. Answer comes back, nah. Life is good. It's all good. But I never touch another person or give them a correction or give them a treatment that I don't ask myself that question before I make contact with them. Is there anything that keeps me from being able to be with you in the right way now? Because every once in a while you ask that question and the answer is not no. I'll give you a real life example. I don't like to be too hypothetical. Years ago, I was a bad person and I got divorced. It's my fault completely. Okay? So I was a bad person and I treated my ex-wife badly and I got the karma for it and I ate the karma pie and I was in a bad place, but it wasn't clean, and we went through a period of a breakup which is called the trying to kill each other for a while phase. You know that phase in breakups where you try to kill the person you love more than anybody else in the whole world, and that you love to death, and then there's a point where you're really trying to kill them. And so we were in that phase. You know, it's like the 4 stages of divorce and separation. We were in that. I don't know what number that is. We were in so we were in that stage, right? And my soon-to-be ex was having a terrible migraine. I already told you about Diamond Clinic, that actually Dr. Diamond started sending me. I had clients for years. That's a specialty of mine, is migraine headaches and how to solve them. And most of the time, how are you today, by the way?
Perfect. Woke up and I was totally fine.
Perfect. Woke up, I'm perfectly fine. See, I can live with that. So, who's the best therapist for headaches that my ex knows? How bad does your head have to hurt that you're going to go ask for help from the person you've been trying to kill for the last month? Destroy, annihilate, burn to the ground. How hard does your head have to hurt? And she called me out on it. Anthony, just wait, listen. I have a headache. I've got one of those headaches. And you have to help me. Not, will you help me? She told me, you have to help me. And I went inside, damn it. Technical. Damn it. If she just asked me for anything else, I could have said no. But she asked me for help for something that I knew full well and she knew full well that I could help her with, that was really, really critical for her, right? Her headaches could last a month. She could be in a cold, dark place for a month and before it would lift like a fog, right? And so she came, and so we didn't talk. Okay, fine, come. She came over, she got on the mat, I got on the mat, I started doing my puja. I got to the part where I asked myself, is there anything that keeps me from being able to be with this person now, in the right way now? And the answer was, hell no, I hate this, I want to hurt her. Right now would be a great time to strangle her. She's helpless, she's got a migraine, she can't even fight back. That's how you know I'm not the Buddha. It's okay. You can be on the transition. You can be on the path. You don't have to always be there, right? So I asked myself the question. The question was no. And the question was because we weren't communicating. What was the issue? Why were we trying to hurt each other? Because we stopped talking. And we stopped communicating. And we stopped sharing our feelings. And we stopped doing all those things that people who are functional in a relationship do. And I could not go one step further in the treatment at that point. I was locked out, I was shut down, and she looked at me and she goes, oh no.